I think we can all agree that Twitter is a complete fucking shit show. We have people constantly arguing over the dumbest shit in the world. We have dumb political takes that no one gives a shit about. We have people who think that they're fucking directors for a big blockbuster movie for whatever fucking reason and think they know how to direct an actual movie. We have the anime side of Twitter that thinks that their characters are actual fucking people and that they're able to change the way that they are, even though they have no control over how they can make a character seem like in any capacity whatsoever. And then for today's topic of the video, we have video game Twitter, who is just completely filled with a whole bunch of people that like getting people pissed off, saying that Xbox sucks, like saying that PlayStation sucks, like stroking Last of Us 2's fucking dick off, and completely missing the point of why video game development is the way that it is. So the thing that sparked off the main reason for this video even coming out in the first place was because there was a Twitter account whose name I can't remember at the moment, who made a tweet that simply just said copy and paste. And in the video that was along with the tweet, it was basically a clip from the video of IGN posting a comparison video of Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, which comes out next month. And it's basically just a grappling mechanic where you're able to zip down from a high place with your grappling hook really quickly, and in the video it basically showed that the animation from Horizon Zero Dawn was also being used in Horizon Forbidden West. Now, obviously, for those of you who know why this is being done is because if something isn't broke, then don't fix it. It's the reason why in God of War Ragnarok, when Kratos is getting inside of the boat, it's also the exact same animation. It's because the animation works. It does exactly what it needs to do. It doesn't need to look any different. It doesn't need to be different in any significant way. It just needs to work in a way that functions the gameplay. It is simply just a function for the player to use in actual gameplay. For some fucking reason, players on Twitter just think that this is the biggest travesty that has ever existed in any piece of media that has ever existed in the entirety of our lives, even though companies have been doing this for decades, even though we have animation companies that have also been doing this for decades. For an example, just within the video game sphere, we have Gears of War, which has been reusing animations for fucking decades. We have EA with their sports games like Madden, 2K, and FIFA. They use the same animations for all their games, and they've been doing that for literally decades. We even have Halo. I can't imagine that some of their games don't have reused animations from previous games. And that's not really a surprise, you know? This isn't something that isn't new. This isn't something that needs to be discouraged. The reason why we have reused animation is so that our games can come out faster. It's so that way they don't have to needlessly use resources and effort and time for something that they already have that already works for the player and does what it needs to do. Now, obviously, the person who tweeted the tweet in the first place is just a guy who really likes Xbox and just really likes getting people pissed off. And that's one of the main reasons why Twitter is such a terrible fucking place, is because people like starting arguments, getting reactions out of people, and just getting people upset for little to no reason whatsoever. And that's really what makes the place just as awful as it is. Sticking with the Horizon, right, the Horizon franchise, for some reason we have people editing Aloy and pictures of Aloy to make her look completely different than what she actually looks like in the game, because for some reason people don't actually think that Aloy is quote-unquote attractive enough, which is very weird to me, because not only is Aloy a fictional character, number one, so why does a character's attractiveness in a video game matter? But even then, if we really want to talk about it, Aloy isn't ugly. She looks like a normal fucking person. It doesn't make sense for a character like her, who lives in the post-apocalypse, to be wearing mascara, to have such a deep eyeliner. I think having eyeliner is the least of her fucking worries when she lives in a universe where she's fighting robot dinosaurs all the time. I think this is the least of her fucking worries. And the fact that people are making such a big deal out of this, especially just specifically on Twitter, is just very weird to me. I don't know why this is such a big deal, but it is, and it bothers me. It actually genuinely bothers me, because whenever they do edit these pictures of Aloy, they make her look literally like a completely different character. She doesn't look the same. She looks very off. And it's because they make her just look like a complete different person. They make her look like a completely different character than the author's intention. And it's just very disrespectful to the people who are working on this character's design, who worked on the art for the Horizon franchise. It's very disrespectful, and I don't like how they're doing it. And one last thing that happened recently that kind of pissed me off as well. It's not specifically like a Twitter thing, but it's been in my recommendations on YouTube, and it kind of came full circle when I was on Twitter one day, and people started talking about this video about a guy who made a 5-hour long video talking about Kingdom Hearts 3. And I'm a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts 3. I've made it very apparent before in the past. And this 5-hour long video is very obviously a critique of the game. And I'm not against criticism. I've criticized Kingdom Hearts 3 and the Kingdom Hearts franchise plenty of times before in the past. But my problem with these very long, like hour-long videos, is that most of the time, from the ones that I have seen and from what I have seen people talk about in regards to these type of videos, most of the time it's just people making a whole bunch of nitpicks about stuff that doesn't even really matter, right? And sometimes whenever they do mention a point in regards that's supposed to be a negative about the game, the person doesn't even really know what they're talking about. And an example of that isn't specifically this Kingdom Hearts 3 video, because I haven't even really seen it yet, because I don't have time to be able to go and watch the video. But there's another person who made a 5-hour long video or whatever about Persona 5. And I've made it no surprise as well that I also really like Persona 5. I praise the game all the time at any chance that I'm given. And the guy is so incorrect with most of his points about Persona 5, about it being style over substance, that there's a video, like a huge video and a multi-series of videos from a guy on YouTube that has completely debunked all the points that were made. It basically just bundles down to the guy not really knowing what he's talking about. He completely misses plot points that are very relevant to what happens later on in the story. He doesn't understand the characters, he doesn't understand the mechanics, and he is so close-minded to the gameplay that he doesn't try to play the game in a different way that could have been to his benefit. And my problem with the Kingdom Hearts 3 video is that it's potentially the same way. And I don't think it's the same way. I really hope that it's not the same way, but from what I have seen from that reply thread on Twitter, it certainly seems like that. That's what people are making it seem like. I don't know if it is. Like I said, I haven't seen the video. But yeah, my main problem with these type of videos is that they, most of the time, don't know what they're talking about. Not all of them, but most of them do. And they go on and on about nitpicks that really just don't matter. And that, in the grand scheme of things, didn't even need to be talked about. You could have mentioned most of your points and arguments against the game in a shorter span of time, maybe like 30 to like 40 minutes, and people would have been more inclined to watch the video and actually have a civil discussion about the topics that you're mentioning about the game in context. It's just very weird that some of these people think that it's a smart idea to make these long videos, because although they have a lot to say, most of the stuff that they're saying doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't amount to anything. It's not really fair criticism, because nitpicks aren't really fair criticism. You're just mentioning something to be mad about that most people aren't even really going to notice. But that's besides the point. I just really wanted to get my frustrations out in a video really quick, because I've been seeing a lot of these tweets on Twitter, and they just really get on my nerves. I see them all the time. I see people constantly talking about how Last of Us 2 is the greatest game of all time, and that pisses me off, because once again, I make it very blatant and obvious that I don't like The Last of Us Part 2, but I'm not going to shit on people's opinions and thinking that it's their favorite game. If it's their favorite game, fine. But it bothers me that people treat it like it's like the return of Christ or something. Like it's the holy grail of every single video game that's ever existed. I'm sick and tired of people saying that The Last of Us 2 is so much better than every other game that has ever existed, because that is simply not the fucking case, right? The Last of Us Part 2 is not better than every single game that has ever existed. There are better games than The Last of Us Part 2, and you just need to get over the fact that there are people who have different opinions than you. This is specifically towards the people on Twitter who are saying this, because it really bothers me that they're so close-minded to the fact that people can have different opinions to what they have, that they have to constantly argue about it all the time on Twitter. Anyways, that's besides the point. I don't want to keep this video going on any longer than it already has been. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. It's frustrating, it's annoying, but the best thing that I can do is just try to ignore it to the best of my ability. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys next one. Have a fantastic day. I'm out. Peace.